What is up, guys? It's your boy Smalls, back on the vault, back from Thoughts from the Bench, the weekly show where we take a look back at some of the best and worst jerseys in sports. With me, as always, my compadre, my main guy, Benny. How's it going tonight, my guy?
Hey, it is slow and steady, but winning the race, brother. I'm glad to be back after a short little hiatus. Happy to see your handsome face, and I'm ready to roll into it, man. How are you doing?
Dude, I'm great. I'm glad to be back. I think last week, we were both kind of not sad, but I was sad that we couldn't do an episode. But it was on both our ends, so it wasn't like wasn't a big deal. Sometimes that just happens because we do have day jobs. We do have life.
And that's until Derek offers a salary, ladies and gents. It's just something that we, it wouldn't be an issue if we were getting paid, but we're not. So we got to put the bills first.
Yep.
But the vault's right there. It's just upper management and whatnot. So but until then, these things are going to happen, but we're happy to say that those have been very limited throughout our tenure of this show. So, but we're back in action this week. We're ready to hit it hard and get after it, man.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's, the slave labor always kind of makes me laugh a little bit because we're just doing this shit for free. But hey, I'm fine with doing this for free. I'm not really complaining about doing.
It's our passion for it,
Yeah, it's the passion. That's right. We're in it for the love of the game, But yeah. So I do want to. I figure this is probably a good time to touch on it. Me and Benny, we've been talking, and I think it'll end up being a good thing. And I want to preface this by saying this is not us pulling the plug on the show whatsoever.
Not at all.
We are not pulling the plug on the vault. We like doing it too much, and frankly, we think it's one of the best shows on TFTB. Not going anywhere.
The best show.
Yeah.
And we have cleared this with upper management. This is something that is universally known, and that this is going to, like you said, in turn be a good thing. So Smalls, take it away with the official announcement.
Okay, so we are wrapping up what we're going to call season 1 of the vault. We're going to wrap this up with this week's episode and then the following week's episodes. We have 2 more episodes left, 31 and 32, for season 1 of the vault. Few reasons we're doing this. Shout out to you, Benny, for getting a head coaching job for high school soccer. Just want to throw that out there.
Thank you.
And so between that and my work schedule, that'll start to get pretty crazy here in the next few months as it is. And the fact that I'll be probably traveling a lot this fall. I just looked at my calendar, and just with when we would have to record new episodes every week, and there were a lot of things that go into it, but I think scheduling and making sure that we were not spreading ourselves too thin, that was like the big thing, really. And because of that, though, I think it presents a pretty good opportunity for both of us to kind of take a step back, take a little break, recharge, refresh, kind of get that hunger back. Because whenever we first started talking about doing the vault, what was it, back in like last November? It's been a long fucking time.
Yeah.
And we've been on a pretty good run so far, pretty consistent, really. Outside of, I think we've taken like 2 weeks off, I think, which is pretty good. Especially considering some of the other shows on the bench. I'm just gonna throw that out there. That have come and gone. But yeah, it really, I think it gives us a good opportunity to A, recharge, and B, kind of take a step back and look at what the show can be doing better. Get some new ideas, line up some new guests. Because really, this season kind of just did it on the fly. And I mean, it turned out pretty well, in my opinion. This season turned out pretty well for the first one that we've done, and we kind of just put it together as we went. So,
and that's the thing is we're gonna keep a lot of the same aspects, but it's we're coming into season 2 with fine tuning
Yep.
and in a little more structure.
Mm-hmm.
But whereas the episodes are still going to be as we do, we're still going to go on tangents and things are going to go off the rails at times. But this gives us time to look at advancements we can make in actually booking guests ahead of time. And it's to save some topics so that we can, keep you on the edge of your seat. This is all in best interest of the show, and we're not gone forever. We're just going to be gone for a brief hiatus, and we're coming back better than ever, baby. That's how we do it.
No, I'm pretty excited to come back already. Like I can feel myself already. Like the wheels are turning with stuff, and I don't know if that means maybe like a few segments that we can throw in there. Like you said, cool guests that we can line up. There are a lot of things we can do, like create more absurd topics that we can bring to the table too. There's a lot that I think we can talk about and kind of think over. And on the flip side, also look at some of the things that maybe we don't do well. Maybe we can take a look at the stuff that frankly we can do better at. So there's kind of a lot to look at, but this gives us a good chunk of time to go ahead and do that. I think, Ben, I haven't talked to you about this, but I'm assuming the timetable would be us coming back sometime in December or January. I would assume, but I'm not. We'll keep you guys in the loop on that one as well.
And we'll release a date for when season 2 would debut and things like that. But this is just a brief hiatus, and we don't want to exhaust ourselves, but just assuring the people we will be back.
Yep. And then in the meantime as well, this past week, just to put something out there, I did a jersey reveal. We can do those periodically as well, Ben. If you get one, we can put that out there. There are a few different things that we can do in the meantime to just kind of make sure our presence is still here. And we're not going away 100%. But again, it's just not going to be like a weekly episode. It's not going to be the same thing. So.
Yeah, but that's the thing is there will still be content. You will still hear from us. We're not disappearing. It's just we have to adjust to the way that our lives are shifting at the moment, and then we're going to come back stronger than ever. So we'll be good to go.
And just something on the horizon too, speaking of content, me and Deke have been talking. I think we might be doing a college football show. Since I won't be, I don't know what that's really going to look like yet. I've talked to him about some ideas I've had. I don't know, just something to kind of look out for. So
hey, that's something that I'm going to make sure that I'm paying attention to. And it's funny that you mentioned college football,
right?
Because Smalls, if we want to let Marshall Fitness do its thing, and we can jump right into what we have for the ladies and gents today.
Oh yeah. So this week's topic, before we jump into it, is brought to you by Marshall Fitness. Marshall Fitness, I'm just doing this one off the cuff like we've been doing for a while, but Marshall Fitness is your one-stop shop for everything online fitness. So it's personal training, personal nutrition. He also has an online store, so you can get some of your gym apparel as well. Super knowledgeable, knows exactly what he's doing. He's a certified trainer, will help you along every step of the way. He has some pretty amazing results from clients that he's posted, so go check him out. He'll make sure that you reach all your fitness goals in whatever work or family schedule that you have. But yeah, so shout out Marshall Fitness. The best time to start is now. And Ben, let's hop right into it. We got to do it. It's coming back. We're doing the most memorable college football jerseys. So this can mean a few things here, at least in my mind. In my mind, this is more than just what the population thinks when they think crazy college football games. I'm more thinking games that I specifically remember watching and the jerseys from those games. So,
and I think because when you think back to games that you remember, which is where all of these are from for both you and I, all of our picks are just those games that we can't forget the course of the game. And I remember where I was watching the game is those images, right, are ingrained in your memory from what you watched, and part of that image is what they were wearing. So yes, we are still the jersey and the uniform show, but this is one of those weeks where, and we've done it before, this is one of those weeks where it's more on the nostalgia than the style of the jerseys, but the jerseys are part of that imagery and that nostalgia that stick in our head because of how memorable these games were.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a perfect time to bring this into the fold too, because college football is about to be fucking back. Like, we're in the thick of like the NFL preseason. Like, this is my life.
Into the thick of it. That's where we're at, man. So
no, we're in the thick of it right now. Dude, I obviously, if you follow the bench at all, you know that college football is like, that's like my thing. Like, I get way more into college football than literally anything else. Anybody I've ever met. Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad thing. And like, I like college football. Smalls eat, sleeps, breathes, shits college football. So it definitely your niche. And I'm excited for you to hit your stride, man, because it's about to be your time, man. This is your time of the year. Oh, yeah. Whether it's just watching. I love the Saturdays where I don't have to do shit and I sit on the couch and just watch college game day starting at 10 in the morning, the noon shitty Northwestern versus Purdue games at noon, where you have Beth Mowens just going off, all the way to the 4 o'clock game. Like, the days where I can just sit down and watch football, college football all day, and there's so many games to pick from. Like, this is my time, man. Like, my blood just gets going. Like, this is it, you know?
Well, and hey, I think something to point out too is, especially because of you specifically and where your fanhood lies, is Penn State is in the preseason ranking somehow this year.
Right, somehow, yeah,
and this is of no offense.
I've been a
Pitt fan all my life, and I mean, that almost never happens for us. But Penn State last year was really rough, so I'm surprised to see you up there again. But you are, and you're nationally ranked in the top 25. So congrats heading into the year, man.
Yeah, no, it's there. I think there are a few reasons for that. We're returning a lot of guys on offense. It was a young offense last year. We have a new OC from Texas, Mike Yursich. Supposedly a big fucking change from whatever I've put this other guy's name out of my fucking memory at this point. Kirk Sriracha or whatever the fuck his name is. The guy was a bloke. Like, there are a few reasons, but Sean Clifford is still our quarterback, and that's why I don't think that it's a legitimate ranking. So, like, I know for a fact that week 1 is make or break, because we open with Wisconsin, which, like, away at Camp Randall. That's make or break right there. So you lose game 1, you're like, we're gonna be in the same spot as we were last year after we lost to Indiana week 1. You know, I'm so nervous. Like, I'm so fucking nervous.
Considering that we're never a threat, I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
We'll see. And go from there. Yeah. And yeah, man. Wait, let's jump into it, brother.
Let's jump into it. Benny, what you got for your first one?
All right, first pick is the 2006 Florida Gators, and the reason that I chose this over 2008 is for a few reasons that I would like to disclose with you today. Pictured in this was quarterback at the time, Chris Leak, okay, who was leading the way for the Gators at the time in this 2006 Florida Gators national championship run, where they beat the goddamn brakes off of Ohio State 41-14. Okay, which first of all was awesome, because being from Pennsylvania, we have this weird rivalry with Ohio, and watching them get their dicks kicked in the national championship, like, yeah, you had a great year, and then you just get fucking obliterated by the Gators, was awesome to me. Also, I have some ties, like, I have family that went to Florida and whole 9 yards, so that was like my backup team growing up. And at this point, I would have been, 10 years old. And so I was like a huge fan of the Gators at this time. I really started paying attention to college football probably when I was about 8 or 9 years old. And, just 2 years later, the Gators get in the national championship. This is also the game where Timmy Tebow earned a name for himself because he came in a couple Wildcat packages where Chris Leak was also in there, and they expected him just to be like a decoy. And he ended up making some plays, and that led for Chris Leak to graduate. And I think he got drafted by the Bears in like the 3rd round or something like that, and didn't pan out to be much. But I really liked him as the quarterback. And then I was like, hey, we got a bright future because we got what ended up being one of the best college football players of all time, not a great pro player, RIP to his pro career since he got cut by the Jags in Timmy Tebow. But hey, I give him credit for trying to come back. Even though it was something he probably should have done, like positionally transfer years ago when they were just telling him to. But anyway, that's besides the point. At this point in time, the Gators were really making a name for themselves because it had been 10 years since they won a national championship, but they were always kind of like being hinted at as, oh, well, can they get there? What's Urban Meyer going to do? And Urban Meyer won them 2 national championships in 3 years, and this was the first one. And I remember staying up late. My mom was yelling at me because I was watching the game. And I just, I barely even knew what was going on, but I saw these 2 quarterbacks that were just kicking ass in Leak and Tebow. And I was like, dude, like this is football. Like as a kid, it was easy for me to root for. And I love the blue and orange combo. That's always been one of my favorites. So they look good doing it too. And I just love this because not only did they win, and I know that a lot of people, they usually like watching wins in dramatic fashion, which we'll hint at later on in the show, but I think just because of how they dominated in what's supposed to be the most tightly contested game of the year was just what made me remember that forever. So I had to put this on the list.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna like any game where Ohio State loses. Just as a Penn State
naturally
fan. Yeah, naturally. And I feel like that's a lot of college football fans too. Like I feel like it's like Ohio State, probably Clemson now. Clemson's gotten over the whole, they're the new kids on the block sort of thing. They're here to stay, so they're definitely in that realm too. So people will root against Clemson as well now. But Ohio State is just one of those teams that I feel like everyone roots against because they're at the top of the mountain, and it's harder than ever now to knock them off. Because of, I could go into a whole spiel about the current college football playoff system, but it's always fun watching Ohio State lose, especially in the fashion they did. I loved watching Troy Smith lose. That was awesome. I remember watching this game as well. I definitely don't hate the Gators, man. Like I'm kind of neutral about the Gators. They're one of those teams that are always kind of in the mix. Even on their off years, they're not bad just because they're kind of a solidified program, So,
well, and that's the thing is this year they lost Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts and a couple defensive starters, and they're still ranked 13th in the preseason poll. So, they are that team which to me, I'm thinking like there's no way they should still be relevant, but they are. So, like you said, they're just kind of always in there.
Yep. Can't hate on this one though. I mean, any national championship, most national championships are pretty memorable for one reason or another. But yeah, no, I love the pick. The jerseys, I've always I like the helmets too. The helmets are
dope.
Been kind of a fan of those Florida helmets. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just the script or the colors. I'm not sure, but they always look
both.
Good. Yeah, except for the swamp jerseys, which we've featured before.
Yeah, let's leave them dead and buried.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to my first one. I'm going 2015 Michigan State Spartans. So, I think I've talked about Sparty before. I might have even mentioned this game before, but I've said this probably numerous times. Maybe not on this show, but I've said it on Thoughts from the Bench numerous times. You would think that my least favorite team as a Penn State guy would be Pitt, Ohio State, something along those lines. I despise Michigan more than every other fucking program in the country. I hate them. They have an unearned arrogance that just annoys the shit out of me. And Jim Harbaugh is a creep that sleeps on college recruits' floors before going home, after complaining to the refs all game, before going home, pleading his 150 pairs of khakis and then doing missionary with his wife after she reluctantly says yes. Like, I despise Michigan more than quite literally any other their fans are the worst. They just have the arrogance, just drives me insane. So anytime I get to see Michigan lose, it brightens my day.
Hey, go off, King. Dude, tell them how you really feel.
Dude, so let me just set the stage for this game. So both these teams they're ranked pretty high, both undefeated going into this game, right? 7-12. Michigan State is 7. Michigan State was actually on a pretty good run at this point. Michigan, again, they were just one of those teams that, Harbaugh just had the hype. He was on the hype train, and they were kind of in the national championship conversation. And I'm going to pause the video here. So they're up 23-21, 10 seconds left. Literally and they're punting past midfield. It's not even like they're pinned deep. 10 seconds. All they have to do here is just get the punt off and not fuck up. And then this fucking happens. Brings me joy every time. Every time.
Tutty to the house.
Dude, and he keeps going too. It's not like it was a slouch touchdown either. It wasn't like it was just easy pickings. And also that guy right there, the best image I think I've ever seen. Like the
Surrender Cobra.
The Surrender Cobra is all time. It's still being used today. Like it's just so gratifying seeing these assholes lose when they were thinking that they were going to be in the national championship conversation. I hate Michigan. The Wolverines fucking suck. And I also love the fact that Mark D'Antoni, after the game, head coach of the Spartans at the time, they won this game, and as he was walking into the locker room...
Classic line.
Yeah. What'd he say? Like, where'd all the Wolverines go? Or something like that. Like, because everyone had left the stadium at that point. Oh, my God. Just chills.
Well, and I know that after that game, too, there was a little beef. Obviously, I mean, them being rivals and everything, but where I think he said something along the lines in a press conference about, he was like, Harbaugh always says, who's got it better than us? Well, we do, Jimmy. And I was like, oh shit, like that is some classic banter between rival head coaches. I love that shit. So this is a great pick, man.
Yep. Again, I do kind of like Sparty's jerseys. I always at least when they changed it over to the more like modern look, I don't know, it's one of the few like really modern jerseys that I kind of like. They just
no, and it's funny you were talking about the Florida helmets. I actually love the white Spartan on the green helmet. Like that's one of my favorite helmets in football. So I also style wise really dig the pick.
Yep. I don't love Michigan State just because they're a Big Ten team. I can't be a fan of Michigan State, but can't hate on them for beating Michigan, and their jerseys are kind of dope. So Benny, let's go to your second pick. Who do you got?
Hey, this is a homer, but I think that this is a justified homer. Okay. This was when Clemson they were undefeated up until this point in the season. Okay. 2016. And let me I'm going to throw some names out to you people so that you understand how fucking incredible this was. Under center was Nathan fucking Peterman, okay, for the Panthers. If you don't know who that is, he was is still, I think, the third string quarterback on the Raiders and was a backup for the Bills who threw 4 interceptions in one half, okay. That guy, all right, was under center. We had James Conner as a running back, right? Alex Kill Yourself Kessman, or no, he wasn't. No, it was Blewett. That's who it was.
Chris Blewett.
Kessman, Alex Kessman was still doing okay after he left. So sorry, Alex Kessman. But this is more for Blewett, who blew it in the league. He had 3 chances with 3 teams and didn't go anywhere. One being the Bears, who were trying to rebound from Cody Parkey. So I don't know how the fuck you don't make that. But anyway, this was obviously a just lightning rod of a football team. And this was when Clemson was like just getting their feet set as like one of the staples in college football, and they looked to be unbeatable. And Pitt, who was, struggling to that year, I think we were in the Pinstripe Bowl against Northwestern in New York or some stupid shit like that.
Yep.
Obviously not in key relevancy, but we were still getting acclimated to the ACC, and we take on their biggest dog and beat them at the end of the game by 1 point. They fought. This was a 43-42 game. This is one of the hardest fought games I've ever seen in my entire life. And trust me, I watch a lot of Pitt football. I watch a lot of Pitt losses, and I also see a lot of Pitt wins, and they're usually never against programs like this, except outside of Miami, which happened, 2 years later, 3 years later. And then when we knocked off WVU way back in the day when they were super high ranked, and Tyler Palco giving the I love these fucking guys, man, that whole speech. So but anyway, this was huge for Pitt. And you had guys like Peterman and Connor and Jester Wea, and like guys who were going to the league. They weren't going to be first round draft picks, okay? But you knew that they were going to go somewhere. And they were guys who were being rooted for nationally at this point, because it just seemed like a team that was middle of the road, but you wanted to root for. And it was like, I think everybody outside of South Carolina wanted to see this happen, just because we were probably the least likely to beat them on their schedule that year. So the fact that it happened, I will never forget this. I like our colors now, but I did always like the navy and gold, and us kind of pulling a white out at their orange out, especially because this was in Clemson. We beat the team who still went on to win the national championship that year. We were the only loss on their record, so they could know that, yes, we won the national championship, but we didn't go undefeated because of fucking Pitt. So I will always remember that.
Yep. And this, because Connor was kind of on the national radar before this, so it wasn't like it was like his breakout year or anything, but Connor came up big time. Like, James Conner was no slouch in this game. I think I saw the stat there. It was like 189 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, that's against a team that perennially, like, their D-line is incredible, like, year in, year out. And, I mean, the fact that this guy, Chris Blewett, did not, in fact, blow it is awesome. Like,
and because he was
shaky, right? He wasn't that great.
He was inconsistent. And the fact that he nailed, what was that, a 52-yarder, I think, or something like that, to win the game.
Dude, look at that stat line, too. Deshaun Watson, 52 for 70 for, is it 500 or 580 yards? That's fucking absurd, man. Like, he puts up that kind of game, and Pitt still wins. I wouldn't even say the Clemson lot. Like, maybe some people would argue that, but, like, I think that was just a fucking great performance, too. That
was the best game Pitt has played, at least offensively, in at least a decade. So they were a team that was fun to root for at that time, but especially just because we were the only team to beat the national champions that year, right? And we were so unlikely to win that game. So unlikely. So I love the underdog story. I love that we did it in Clemson, and I love that it was Pitt to just ruin their parade, So that's a game that I will always remember.
Just two things. You mentioned you guys beating Miami a year or 2 or maybe 3 later. This is a much better win because Clemson was, in my opinion, an actual legitimate team. Miami, I don't want to say Miami was a fraud, but I don't think that Miami was quite as legit. Like, I don't think that they were as real as Clemson was this year. So,
well, and maybe if they gave Taint Martell the keys to the facility,
wide receiver.
Yeah, really, he should have been selling tickets outside the stadium.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, man. I also agree that this was definitely more impressive. I'm just talking about knocking people off the top in their current rankings. Like, this was, this was huge, and this is probably, I think that this is even better than the West Virginia win. I think that this is probably the biggest win I've seen as a Panthers fan.
See, that's crazy too, because I feel like the backyard brawl in 07 was crazy because that basically ruined that program.
Yeah, like which I agree, and I do. I mean, fuck the Mountaineers, but I don't know. This just meant more because we were the only team to beat the best team in football. Mm-hmm. So, in West Virginia, they didn't have as much on the line as Clemson did. Now, Clemson still rebounded and went and won the national championship, but I think it was just like, you always know in those bitter rivalry games that even if Pitt was 0-7 that year, if we get to West Virginia, we might get our first win. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, just because that's the culture of the rivalry, is it's a 50-50 toss-up every time, whereas this, it was looked at as, oh, this is a joke game for Clemson, and we somehow came out with the win. So this is probably my most memorable Panthers win of all time. It's crazy that I get it, but it is crazy that you put it up over WVU.
In my mind, it's only because of the rivalry with you guys and the fact that like it ruined the program, and that was the time for WVU for college football. Like that was their, like, it was theirs to lose pretty much. Like they had an incredible, Pat White and Steve Slayton were just they were the best offense in the country probably in a long time, and like they were demoralized. Like Rich Rod left. I don't know if it was that year or the year after.
I think it was after that season. I think he was gone.
That's crazy. But I get it, though. The only other thing I wanted to note here.
That's when he went to Michigan, right? That's when Rich Rod
was fucking awful. He was terrible. Like, he was gone in, like, 2 or 3 years. Like, he was fucking horrendous up there. But the only other thing I did want to note, I really do like the script. I think the script for Pitt, as much as I hate Pitt, it's kind of clean. I really like the script, especially on the helmets. I can't hate on the script. All right, let's go to my second pick.
All-time upset.
Mm-hmm.
All time.
Actually, yeah. So, hey Ben, you want?
Yes.
Just come into the camera a little bit. I want to whisper something. This is another fucking Michigan loss. Again, I've said it before.
Mike Hart's career. R.I.P. Mike Hart's career.
So, this is probably, I would say, there might be a few that rival it, but this is probably considered the greatest upset in college football history. So, Michigan came into the year ranked number 5th. Like, number 5th in the nation. They were definitely in the national championship conversation. I think they were, the only reason that they weren't in the national title game the year before is they lost against Ohio State in the big one in the last game of the year. It was 1-2 Ohio State Michigan the year prior. Michigan was a legit team, and they brought a lot of their guys back. They come in number 5 in the nation, and it's definitely, the tides have kind of changed recently, but back then it was very commonplace for all major programs to just they scheduled cupcakes for 4 weeks to start the year. This was supposed to be one of those games. App State at the time was an FCS team. They're now FBS, but they were an FCS team at the time. Granted, they were the best FCS team in the nation, going for their 3rd straight national title, but they were still an FCS team. Michigan should have blown these guys out of the water. They came out and basically punched Michigan in the mouth. They were up 28-17 at halftime. Michigan, being a big-time program, ended up coming back, and they were up 32-21 or 32-31 in the fourth quarter. They kicked a chip shot to make it 34-32. In the with like 26 seconds left, and so App State's up. Michigan got a chance with a chip shot. Like, it wasn't like a super long field goal either. I think it was like 30 yards or something. I could be wrong about that. App State fucking comes in and blocks it, like snatches their soul. And I'm just skipping ahead here. Like, it was just an electric game to watch. It put Michigan on notice, like, and really I think it propelled App State to Division 1A football too. And it's
because they have become a better program.
They're good now. They're legitimate. Yeah. But this was it. Like I said, it's considered one of the greatest upsets in college football history because no one predicted this. This was week 1.
Like, this was like a $5 bet that wins you $50,000. Like, this is for you to bet on the W for this was, I mean, and to me in my lifetime, like, fanhood aside, this is the most memorable upset I can remember. So, because I remember like Mike Hart's face just go pale walking off the sideline, like, I can't believe this shit just happened.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And it's just,
oh my God, Mario Manningham, what a throwback.
Chad Henne was the quarterback, I'm pretty sure.
Jeez.
Yeah, dude, they pick it up and run it all the way back, man. Like, it's just poetry. Like, games like this, or I guess he doesn't run it all the way back, but this is why we watch sports. Shit like this is why we watch sports.
Yeah.
You know, like, between this and like it's like crazy upsets in college football against big time programs and like Cinderella stories in March Madness. That's like, those are the things that we kind of watch sports for, the great stories. And I mean, this is just, it's an all-timer. Like, this is by far, in my opinion, the greatest upset ever. So
yeah, I agree.
Yep.
So yeah, we're on the same page, brother.
Yep. All right. And the uniforms, I mean, it looks like someone in the Southern Conference.
Hey, but this shows their growth. Is they came from that, right? Mm-hmm. So a team who looked like that pulled off potentially the greatest upset in college football history.
Yeah. Yeah, the sleeves weren't great. But again, it was the time, but the sleeves weren't great. But let's go to, I love this pick. This was one of my honorable mentions, and I'm glad you picked it.
Hey, look, anybody who knows anything about Boise State in general, this should be your first thought. Okay, if you've paid attention to anything that Boise State has done, I guess maybe their blue field. But other than that, your first thought should be this game and this play that I have the aftermath pictured here that Smalls was gracious enough to throw in. I think this guy's name was Ian Johnson.
Something like that, yeah.
I think that's the running back's name here. They ran the almost never pay off type play of the Statue of Liberty to beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl, right?
Yep, Fiesta Bowl.
The Fiesta Bowl. The Boise State, again, an underdog, was not supposed to happen. There's a Statue of Liberty play. And like I said, I think that's Ian Johnson. And as you can see there, he scores the game-winning touchdown in a bowl game that they were honestly shocked to even face a team like Oklahoma there in the first place. This is when Boise State really started gaining relevancy, but they needed to prove themselves, and they did. And I think that, ironically enough, the Pitt and Clemson game was 43-42. I think this score was 43-42 as well. That came down to a last-second play. They run the Statue of Liberty. He scores a touchdown. He goes and proposes to his girlfriend, who's a cheerleader of the team, and she says yes after he literally just won them a bowl game. I mean, if that isn't the most Friday Night Lights shit you've ever heard in your life, I don't know what else would be. It's poetic, the play, the story, the underdog essence of the entire team. And I've always dug Boise State's uniforms. These were classic, like mid-2000s. You know what I mean? Like, this was what you were supposed to see. But I like that they're a school in Idaho, and they were trying to make a name for themselves as a football program. Guy scores a game-winning touchdown on a play that shouldn't have worked, proposes to his girlfriend, and she says yes, and they win the bowl game. I mean, this is just one of the most poetic sequences of football history I can think of.
Yep, and I think this was back to when I don't think Oklahoma was really a fraud like they are now. I think Oklahoma is the biggest fraud in college football.
They were still a huge threat.
Yeah.
I think this was when Sam Bradford was there. I think, or was this shortly before him?
It might have been shortly before him, but he might have also been there. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember actually. This was AP's team though. Adrian Peterson was on this team. So
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So this was a legit team too, and I mean they tied the game up with a fucking hook and ladder too, which is already absurd. And then you win on a statue. That's a team with nothing to lose. You know, that's a team that's trying to go out there and just fucking shock the world and doing it like.
When you were running these video game-esque plays, right? And basically when you were doing trick plays as your winning plan, remarkable. Remarkable, dude. So this is a game that I remember watching in a memory specifically, not only just watching the game, but how it was literally covered on SportsCenter like every day for the next month. They were just re-showing it, and every Oklahoma citizen was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sick of seeing this shit."
Yeah.
But I mean, it was an outcome that wasn't supposed to happen by a team who wasn't supposed to win with a play that wasn't supposed to work. I mean, it was the opposite of all expectation, and that's why it's going to last in my brain forever.
The jerseys are dope. I've always kind of liked Boise State's look. The field, it kind of makes
the
me
blue field
seize.
stuff.
Yeah, it kind of makes me seize a little bit, but whenever I watch it on TV. But not a bad look though. I mean, the Broncos kind of mean looking, orange and blue. It's like the old Broncos look kind of, but like modernized. It kind of looks
It's
cool.
a retro
Yeah.
hybrid type deal, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this is one that I'm glad that we were both on the same page on. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
Wait,
Right.
what do you got for me rounding it up?
All right. 2013.
Can't go without it.
It's a given, right? When I think college football, this play sticks out in my head. Just this game. So again, this is one of those things that, like, I remember exactly where I was when I watched this happen. I was standing, and this is something that me and Papa Smalls do a lot. So we stand, and we're probably not alone, but we stand in front of the TV while watching a game. If it's like a captivating game, or if it's just Penn State getting the shit kicked out of them, we still just stand about a foot away from the TV and just watch. And this was one of those games. The Iron Bowl is it's must-watch TV pretty much year in, year out. It's just one of those classic college football rivalries that always delivers, except when Alabama. Usually, it really only happens when Auburn's not very good. Like every other, even if Alabama is great, Auburn usually at least puts up a fight because it's a rivalry. It's an in-state rivalry. I've actually had the chance to go down to Auburn and tailgate for an Auburn game. It's electric down there. I love that. I kind of like the atmosphere down in Auburn. This team though, it was 1 versus 4. Number 1 Alabama versus number 4 Auburn. Auburn the year prior was 3-9, and they come back. Gus Malzahn, who I know, we all know now that he's a fraud, but Gus Malzahn came back. This is his first year coaching the team as the head coach. Comes in, completely turns the program around. They come in as the number 4 team in the country into the Iron Bowl, the biggest game of the year. And it was a hard-fought game. It was tied 28-28, about to go into OT. TJ Yeldon on Bama runs. I'm going to pause it here. TJ Yeldon, it's a running play. I forget if he goes out of bounds or he gets tackled inbounds, but for some reason, they add 1 second onto the clock, right? And I think it might have been.
I'm reliving this in my head right now.
Yeah, and like I remember standing in my living room with my dad, and of course my dad's the biggest. Oh, they're just fucking cheating. He's like that guy. He's like, oh, they're just gonna. They got it in for Bama, you know. And another thing to throw in here too, this kid that's that's about to try to kick this field goal. He has not attempted anything over like 20 yards or something in an actual game.
I didn't know that.
He's only in the game because prior to this, Bama had missed 4 field goals. So they put this kid in, and I'm shocked that Saban even went for it. But I mean, 1 second left at where they were on the field. I guess I kind of get it. It's tied. You kind of have to go for it. But at Auburn, the most memorable play of all time. The kick six, I know a ton of people that went to Auburn. The kick six is what everyone brings up.
Yeah, it's the pride of their program. And it's funny because Cam Newton did what Cam Newton did there, and that's still their most talked about result ever. Yep. I mean, Auburn's going to win the football game. Like, that is going to be heard for eons. I mean, it was so absurd for a game to end like that, like you said, with the added second, with the kick six on an attempted deep field goal, and he's able to bring it back 109 yards. I mean, it is what football miracles are made of, and it happened in a heated rivalry game between 2 top-tier programs at the time. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this is what college football is all about.
Yeah, and
I mean, this is it. Also, I do have a question for you. Since you went down to Auburn, and I guess I could just look this up. They're the Auburn Tigers. Well, I'm having an aneurysm right now. The Auburn Tigers. Where the fuck does War Eagle come from? Do you know?
I did look it up one time because I was also curious. I want to look this up again. It's a thing. Yeah, what does War Eagle come from? Okay. Oh. Okay, so it's the battle cry. So this is what Auburn EDU is telling me. The most popular legend about the battle cry dates back to the first time Auburn met Georgia on the football field in 1892 and centers on a spectator who was a Civil War veteran. So it's something to do with the Civil War or some shit. I don't know. I'm not sure. They have an eagle flying around there every game. It's kind of cool. It's one of the cooler pregame things in football. But the fans down there, they are, and this is gonna sound, I'm part of the cult, so I'm allowed to say it. It's a Southern Penn State. Like, that's the feel of the town down there. It's like just a Southern State college, small town. Everyone is there for the football.
Yeah, but I was going to say they bring out crazy crowds because there ain't shit over there but Auburn football. So,
well, and that's the thing. Driving, because I was in Atlanta at the time when I drove down there to watch, I think they were playing like Mississippi State or something. I just went down to see some buddies of mine, but there's nothing. Like, you cross into the Alabama, over the Alabama state line, and there's fucking nothing until you get to Auburn, and it's still like a small ass town, but it's a college town, and they all fucking love football. It's electric down there on game days. I'll say that. But yeah, this game was one of those things that everyone brings up when you talk about crazy college games. Like, this is like one of the all timers. I remember in my living room, I've only done this a few times. Only other time I've done this is when I was at the game against, it was Penn State, Ohio State, when we blocked the kick in 2016. But I was standing there in my living room doing the same thing. It happened, and both me and my dad, literally, we weren't yelling, we weren't cheering, our jaws dropped, and we just watched it we were watching it happen because we were like, there's no way that this is going to happen. This is actually happening. Where's the flag? It's one of those things where where's the flag?
You're looking for it. You're like, there's no way this stands, and it did. And that's why there was almost like a pause, like everyone started celebrating, but I feel like everybody watching was like,
Yep.
There was some hesitation there, but hey, I mean, what a hell of a game, man.
Yep. Yeah, and Auburn went on, they lost in the Natty, I think against Florida State. I think they lost to Winston in the Natty, but I want to read the name. This was, eat that W, boy. this was that Bama team is widely considered one of the most talented football teams ever. Like, obviously you have Miami, you have a few other ones. Let me read some of the names on this Bama roster: T.J. Yeldon, Kenyon Drake, A.J. McCarron, whatever, Derrick Henry, Amari Cooper, O.J. Howard. Who else on here? C.J. Mosley, Landon Collins, Eddie Jackson, HaHa Clinton Dix. Yeah, like, this was a fucking loaded team.
Touted a NFL factory. Yeah.
Like, what? And Auburn they won it in this fashion. It's fucking crazy. But yeah, uniforms. Auburn they have decent jerseys. It's a tried and true classic. The logo, I think, kind of sticks. You know what you're looking at when you see it. But yeah, Penn State's playing Auburn this year. I don't think I'm that nervous about it. I'm nervous because it's an SEC team, but
I just like that it's different.
Yeah,
it's a different matchup. So I really think that even if they're teams that I don't necessarily like or pay a ton of attention to, I just like seeing teams play each other that don't normally.
Yep.
So I'll be pumped to watch that game.
Yep, I'm trying to go. The tickets are outrageous, but I'm trying to go.
You gotta take out a loan.
Yeah. But, all right, honorable mentions. I got one. Not even really a jersey. Catholics versus convicts.
But funny as hell, though.
Just, dude. Ben, have you seen the 30 for 30 on this?
Yes. Yeah.
I think a little corny, but still pretty good.
For sure, but, I mean, there's something to be said. It's like a dad joke, you know? It's corny, but did it make you giggle? Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But, I mean, this is like one of the all-time college games ever. It's still talked about today because, I mean, they painted that Miami team as such, like, thugs. And it's because they were the only team at the time back in the 80s that were just doing what everyone does today, just celebrating and, like, I mean, it was a crazy team at the time. Now you look at it, you're like, that's not really that bad. But, like, they were just in your face. They painted it as, you know, the Catholics versus the convicts, and it just kind of stuck. I think my one favorite thing about that game was Lou Holtz telling his team in the locker room, like, if you guys see Jimmy Johnson in the parking lot after the game, don't touch him, save him for me. And then they were like, it was over. Like, the game was over after Lou Holtz said that. But I did just ordered a Mormons versus Mullets t-shirt.
Nice.
Based on this. So yeah, I'm hoping that comes in pretty soon. But all right, Ben. Not bad. Was there anything we left off here, or think we hit everything good?
No, I think, like, especially for people who have been watching football in the last 20 years, I think we hit, like, games that everyone can resonate or are memorable for us. Yeah. You know, so I'm pleased, man. I'm pleased with what we did today. Yep,
absolutely. It's that time of the year, man. It's Smalls' time to shine, boy.
Hey, your time to shine.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Vault Weekly Show, where we take a look back at some of the best and worst jerseys in sports. This week we did college football. Next week, stay tuned. Season finale. I think we got something kind of up our sleeves. I think. We're just going to try to have fun with it. We're going to try to just be ridiculous, I think. So stay tuned. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit subscribe on the YouTube page. Go check it out on YouTube. Yeah. Ben, anything else before I chug on this Tullamore Dew right here?
To everybody, I just want to say thank you for being fans of the show. We're going to give you a good finale next week. Be a friend, tell a friend, subscribe, share, like, spread the word about the Vault. You know, we as much as we love to do this for ourselves, we like doing it for you too. So let's try and get that audience a little bigger. Other than that, I'm pumped for all kinds of football. And in Smalls, I look forward to doing this again with you next week, man. I'm stoked.
Yep. All right. Appreciate it, guys. Benny, cheers. Just imaginary. Give me a, because you're let me out to dry once again.
I'm sorry.
Appreciate it, guys. All right. Peace.
Peace.